Welcome to EzyLearn Worklife. Today I'll be speaking with Terry. So Terry, you enrolled in the WordPress training course way back in 2014. So what first motivated you to seek out that training course?
So I wanted to start my own business, and I wanted to not just save money, but to also learn a new skill that as a VA I could use for my own business, but also for potentially helping future clients.
Did you have any concerns or fears about enrolling in an online training course, maybe about support or the content?
I think that support would have been my major concern, particularly with something like WordPress, because it's quite an involved software to use.
And during the process of your course, did you ever have to reach out for that support?
Yes, I did a couple of times, and I found it was pretty quick. I got help pretty quick and easy, and it enabled me to keep progressing through my course at the pace that I wanted to.
How did you feel after completing your course?
Pretty confident, actually, to create my own website, which I did, and that I had enough knowledge that I could help other people at a basic level in their business.
And so could you talk a little bit about what you currently do for work?
So when I was made redundant from my previous role of over 14 years, I wanted to set up my own side hustle and become a VA and an online business manager, which I did do. So I set up my website, which I spent a lot of time doing, but it was a lot of fun as well because I'm quite a creative person. So I quite enjoyed that. And that's why I thought if I learn this new skill, that I could do it for other people, for clients. So being a VA and online business manager means that I could provide services such as Xero bookkeeping. I'm a Xero certified consultant and a registered BAS Agent, business management, office administration, general tasks like that. I'm actually working full time, but I still do have that side hustle of providing mostly bookkeeping services. Sometimes there are other tasks that I do, but it is mostly bookkeeping services. And I post regularly on my local Facebook community group pages, just to keep my foot in the door, keep letting small businesses know that I'm available, for remote service.
And is that the main way you find clients, sort of those Facebook, social media, and also the WordPress, or are there other ways that you do it?
Yeah, I mostly find clients through word of mouth and by advertising. I call it advertising, but it's more quite a general post on my local community groups on Facebook. That's probably where I find most potential clients find me. That works really well because most pages I find allow you to post your business once a week. And I do that. I notice that a lot of businesses just type in text, whereas I'll get into Canva and create an image, with a heading or a couple of points of what services I offer. Or my post might just be, here's my 5 tips for Excel or Xero or something like that, or WordPress even. And then my text in the post will say, if you have any questions or would like to hire me as a VA to help you with your Excel or your Xero or your WordPress, whatever it is, then, they'll contact me. I find that way it's not so salesy, such as, hey, I'm selling such and such product or service, call me now type thing. I find that by offering tips or tricks of the trade every second or third post doesn't make me sound so salesy, but more helpful.
Now, you also mentioned that you currently work full time. Could you talk a bit about what you do in your full-time job?
So I work for a local golf club and in the office. So I'm working in finance. We use Xero there, but we also use another major software because there's inventory for the bar and the golf shop and the kitchen. So working at a club, having a restaurant, product sales, bar sales, ATM, poker machines, cash machines, there's a lot involved in the finance of a club. Basically, my day would start just checking emails if there's any urgent emails from the general manager, from any suppliers. Then it's syncing our inventory software to Xero, opening up the spreadsheet, checking numbers. We have Z reads, which are the printouts from the EFTPOS terminals. We have, I think, 7 EFTPOS terminals. So I have that paperwork from the day before, and I need to check it to what's come through from the inventory software, checking it's in Xero correctly. So there's a lot of checking there. Once a week is payroll. Payroll's a lot of fun. There's about 60 employees, and casuals, permanent, salaries, public holidays, as we've just had quite a few recently, overtime and penalty rates. It's actually quite involved, the payroll for something like the golf club and other places where they do pay, where they do have a lot of casuals, penalty rates, overtime, and different allowances. So that can take me 5 hours to do that pay run. And I'll check if there's any bills that need to be paid in the next, like today or the next day or two, so I can get them processed, send them to the bank so the general manager can authorize them and send them off. I might have a couple of invoices to send out, and yeah, just keeping Xero up to date, keeping our spreadsheets up to date.
Yeah, sounds like busy work, especially with all that payroll, really involved.
Yes, it is. And then once a week, myself and another person will empty out the poker machines of all the cash, and yeah.
So you use Xero for that job. Are there any particular apps or integrations you use?
We use HubDoc, actually. So we use HubDoc for all our bills to go into. Probably 95% of our suppliers are sending their invoices directly to HubDoc email address. We've asked them not to send them to our Outlook email addresses. They just go straight to HubDoc. The ones that don't are ones that need to be checked by managers first, and then they get sent to HubDoc. The reason why we use HubDoc is it picks up duplicates. We have about 300 bills coming in a month, and HubDoc will let us know if the same bill has gone in twice, because it's not unusual for a supplier to send their invoice again when there's 5 days to go. Hey, this is a reminder, your bill's due in 5 days. We find HubDoc really good for avoiding duplicates, and also it helps to code things by using its own memory. Okay, this supply was coded to this account code last time, so it will automatically code it. And if we're happy with that, we just have to press publish and off it goes to Xero. We do use Stripe, but that's mostly for online purchases of memberships. Most of our purchases, or most of our sales, I should say, are made in the golf shop.
And could you maybe talk about a challenge that you've experienced in your job? Now, that could be your full-time job or your own business.
The biggest challenge that we're finding is balancing all of the EFTPOS transactions to the deposit that comes into the bank. Because sometimes staff do make errors. They're pressing cash and not EFTPOS, or vice versa. That's our biggest challenge at the moment. So we've come up with a way to be able to double check that the figures that are showing on the P&L, which go to the board at the end of the month, that we're confident that they're correct. Whereas previously we weren't so confident. It was just, oh, well, whatever turned up in the bank. Whereas now we know that when sales are coded to different departments, we're pretty confident that they're correct. It's been quite a big challenge. We're using quite a large Excel spreadsheet for that, and we're importing transactions. We have a lot of checking processes in place. So we now don't just assume that the numbers that come in from our other software, which has our inventory, we don't just assume it's correct, because there are always slight errors. So we fix them. So I guess the big thing here is having a way of double checking that our numbers are correct.
What was the software that has your inventory?
So it's a software regularly used by clubs, and it's quite an interesting software. Say, for example, for the bar, we put all of our alcohol that we buy into the inventory. So that's all the kegs of beer, bottles of wine and spirits. But then within that software, we've broken it down so we can sell one schooner of beer, one glass of wine. So the software helps us work out that even though we've entered in all these larger capacity bottles and kegs, it breaks it down into glasses of wine or a schooner of beer, a nip of vodka to go in a drink. So it's quite a good software for breaking things down. And yeah.
And we talked about a challenge, but we also like to hear the good things. So is there something you can think of that actually makes your job easier?
HubDoc makes things quite easy because it automatically codes everything for us. And it's not just the account code, it's also the tracking code as well, because we have different departments within the club, such as the golf shop, the bar, the restaurant, the course, which is like the greenkeepers, reception. So HubDoc will also automatically code the bills, depending on what's happened historically. So that's our big time saver, I think. And the fact that we have suppliers send the bills directly to HubDoc instead of coming into our email inbox.
Sort of going back now to your own business that you run, how do you kind of balance having a full-time job and still working with clients?
It's really hard balancing. It's hard after a hard day's work, sitting in front of the computer, crunching numbers and just the day-to-day tasks that I need to do, and then come home and either before or after dinner, I have to sit on the computer for a couple of hours. So what I do try and do is to do that work in batches and not just spend 20 minutes every single night, because I find that I end up sitting here for longer than, say, 20 minutes, and then I look at the clock and it's late and it's bedtime and I haven't wound down yet. So I like to do my work in batches. Like a Friday night is often good because I know I can sleep in the morning, or I'll work on the weekend.
Is there anything else that for your own business makes that business easier?
Being organised, having a really good filing system so I can find documents quite easily. That helps a lot. I have a scheduling tool as well, TidyCal, and it helps. It's so much easier if I book appointments with my clients rather than just saying, hey, ring me later after 5, or I'll ring you after 5. I find that being organised with my phone calls, having Zoom meetings scheduled, having phone calls scheduled, it just helps me to be more organised. I use Google Drive For my documents, I use Gmail. I have my own domain name and website, but I have my domain email linked into Gmail. So that way, if during my lunchtime, if I'm at work during the day, I might actually hop in and have a look at my emails during the day. And so by having it in Gmail, I find it so much easier to look at my email on the computer rather than on my phone.
With your job at the golf club, do you work from home or are you on site?
I can work from home, and I have done so. I work on site. I actually prefer to work on site because it's a bit lonely working at home. You know, it's really good to have people in the office to say hello to. I love walking out through the club when I go and make myself a coffee, because often I'll say hello to patrons, or they'll ask me questions, or I'll say hello to the other staff as well. It's a good break. It's a good rest for the eyes to get them off the computer. But it's also just the social aspect of it. My drive to work is 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes. I listen to podcasts when I'm driving. So, and I guess that's my me time. Whereas if I worked from home all the time, which I have done in a previous role, I worked a lot from home. It was lonely. So I much prefer, so long as it's a good office to work in and the people are good, I much prefer to go to the office and work.
And look, our last question here, kind of a nice way to sum things up. So thinking back to 2014 when you first did that WordPress course, how would you compare where you were then, all those years ago, to where you are now?
WordPress was just one of many, many courses that I've done. One thing that I've always believed in, particularly in my line of business and employment, is the more I know, the more employable I am, the more valuable I am. So the number of courses that I've done is absolutely huge. And those courses have ranged from advanced Office apps to WordPress, graduate certificate in innovation and entrepreneurship. So my knowledge base and my skill level is so much higher and wider and greater. One of the benefits of that, I believe, is that, I may not remember everything that I've learned, but I have a really good awareness that all of those skills are out there, that it helps me know what I can implement in a business, whether it's my own or somebody else's, whether it's as an employee or whether they're my client. I know that there's those things out there that'd be great in this business. I may not remember how to do it, but I know that it exists. So I can go back to my notes. I can go onto Google, relook at those things again and say, hey, I've got a really good idea for your business. Or just for my own business. I know that such things exist, so I can go and revisit, implement them in my business. So to me, to be always learning, and you may not remember everything with all the different courses, but just having an awareness that these things exist, it just helps. It makes me more valuable, I think. You may be quite happy in your current role, just doing the same old, but my biggest thing is to keep on learning, stay up to date with skills and knowledge, because you never know when life's going to throw a curveball, when things are going to change. You might need to change your job. You might want to become self-employed, become a VA, and all of those skills are really going to be, come in handy.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me this afternoon, Terry.
My pleasure. It's been lovely speaking with you too.